The stars looked different from this part of space. Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the research vessel Horizon, his eyes fixed on the gas giant that filled half the view screen. Its moon, their destination, glowed with a pale blue light. "Atmospheric readings coming in now, Captain," said Science Officer Tae-woo Lee. His fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "The anomalies are stronger than we expected." Captain Kim nodded. At 45 years old, he had earned his reputation as one of Earth's finest diplomats. His black uniform fit his tall frame perfectly, and the small Earth emblem on his chest caught the light as he moved. "Good work. How long until we can begin collecting samples?" he asked. "About 3 hours, sir," Tae-woo replied. "The moon's rotation will bring the main anomaly into range then." The Horizon was a small ship by galactic concordate standards. Only 120 meters long, it carried just 4 human crew members on this mission. The Concordat, a union of 17 advanced alien species, had let humans join 30 years ago. Most Concordat races still saw humans as weak and primitive, but useful for their unusual thinking. "Captain," called Communications Officer Soo-jin Park from her station. Her voice changed from calm to worried. "We have an incoming ship, Carvax patrol vessel, heavy class." Captain Kim frowned. The Carvax were trouble. Tall, insect-like aliens with hard exoskeletons and quick tempers, they were the most aggressive species in the Concordat. "We have all the proper permits," he said. "Put them on screen and open a channel." The view screen changed to show the bridge of the Carvax ship. In the center stood High General Vexcor, his razor-sharp mandibles clicking as he spoke. His exoskeleton was dark red with black stripes, marks of high rank. "Human vessel." Vexcor's translator device turned his clicks and hisses into words. "You are in restricted space. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Captain Kim kept his face calm, though he felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "Greetings, High General. There must be a mistake. We filed all proper documentation with the Concordat. This research mission was approved 3 months ago." Vexcor's compound eyes flashed with anger. "Our sensors detect weapons-grade scanning. Equipment aboard your vessel. That's our atmospheric analyzer," Captain Kim explained. "It's standard research equipment. The Concordat Science Council approved it. We will determine that ourselves." Vexcor snapped. "Prepare for boarding in 10 minutes. Any resistance will be treated as hostile action." The screen went dark. Security. Officer Ji Soo-yoon moved closer to Captain Kim. At 32, she was the youngest crew member, but her eyes showed experience beyond her years. "Sir, the Carvax have no right to board us," she said quietly. "This feels wrong." Captain Kim nodded. "I agree. Soo-jin, send a message to Earth and the Concordat Council. Include our current situation and all mission permits." "Sending now, sir," Soo-jin said. Her hands moved quickly over her controls. After a moment, she looked up with concern. "They're jamming our long-range communications." "That's a direct violation of Concordat law," Tae-woo said, his voice tight. Captain Kim took a deep breath. "Everyone stay calm. We'll follow protocol. Jisoo, no weapons unless I give a direct order. We don't want to give them any excuse." "Yes, sir," Jisoo said, though her hand rested near her stun pistol. 10 minutes later, they felt the thud of the Carvax ship connecting to their airlock. Captain Kim stood ready to meet them, with Jisoo slightly behind him. Soo-jin and Tae-woo remained at their stations on the bridge, recording everything. The airlock door slid open. 6 Carvax soldiers entered, their tall bodies making the human ship seem small. Each soldier carried a plasma rifle. Behind them came High General Vexcor himself. "This is highly irregular, General," Captain Kim said firmly. "We demand you restore our communications and allow us to contact the Concordat Council." Vexcor's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of irritation. "Silence, human. Your kind has been given too much freedom in the galaxy. It's time you learned your place." He stepped closer, towering over Captain Kim. "Our intelligence says your research is cover for mapping Carvax defense systems. Where are the spy data cores?" There are no spy data cores, Captain Kim replied calmly. We are a scientific vessel on an approved mission. You can check our logs and equipment. Humans are known liars, VexCorp hissed. Search the ship, he ordered his soldiers. The Carvax began roughly pulling apart equipment and opening storage compartments. One knocked over a table of delicate scientific instruments, shattering them. Those are irreplaceable artifacts. Taewoo protested from the doorway. A soldier shoved him hard against the wall. Captain Kim stepped forward. Control your people, General. This is unauthorized destruction of property, he said, his voice harder now. VexCorp moved with shocking speed. His arm shot out, grabbing Captain Kim by the throat and lifting him off the ground. I will not be lectured by an inferior species, the Carvax general snarled. Ji-Soo-yoon moved instantly. Release him, she shouted, stepping forward. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Ji-Soo reached for VexCorp's arm, trying to pull it away from her captain's throat. The general's other hand moved in a blur, drawing his personal plasma weapon. There was a flash of bright green light and a sound like thunder. Ji-Soo's body fell to the floor of the horizon. A smoking hole had burned through her chest. Her eyes, still open, stared at nothing. Captain Kim dropped to his knees beside her when VexCorp released him. Officer down. Medkit now, he shouted, but he already knew it was too late. Soo-jin's scream echoed through the ship. Taewoo stood frozen in shock. VexCorp looked down at the dead human with no sign of regret. She attacked a concordate official. The punishment for that is death. She was trying to save her captain, Taewoo said, his voice shaking with anger. This is murder. Be careful, human, VexCorp warned, or you may join her. Captain Kim slowly stood up. His face was like stone, but his eyes burned with an intensity that made even VexCorp pause. You have killed a United Earth government officer without cause, he said, each word precise and clear. There will be consequences. For just a moment, uncertainty flickered across VexCorp's alien features. Then he laughed. What will Earth do? Your planet is the weakest member of the Concordate. You have no power here. He turned to his soldiers. Take these humans to holding cells. We're confiscating this vessel for inspection. As they were led away, Captain Kim caught Taewoo's eye and gave a tiny nod. Taewoo understood. When they passed his station, he pressed a hidden button under his console. Somewhere deep in the horizon, a small device activated. It sent a tight beam, quantum signal, technology the humans had told the Concordate they hadn't perfected yet. The signal contained everything. Recordings of the boarding, Ji-Soo's murder, their coordinates. It would reach Earth in minutes, not the days that normal communication would take. The Carvax thought they had caught humans breaking rules. They thought humans were weak. They were wrong on both counts. As Captain Kim was pushed into a holding cell, a single thought burned in his mind. The Carvax had killed one human. Now they would learn what that really meant. At exactly 0600 Universal Standard Time, High General VexCorp stood on the bridge of his ship. He was explaining to his officers how the human prisoners would be used to teach Earth a lesson. Mid-sentence, his ship's lights flickered. What was that? He demanded. His communications officer tapped at her control panel with increasing panic. Sir, we've lost all communication systems. I can't reach any of our other ships. That's impossible, VexCorp snapped. Run a diagnostic. I'm trying, sir, but the diagnostic systems are also failing, the officer replied. Her compound eyes reflected the flashing red warning lights. Across the ship, screens that showed star maps and navigation data began to display incorrect information. The engines hummed at a different pitch. Sir, called the security chief. The holding cells. The force fields are failing, VexCorp hissed in anger. Send guards there immediately. But as his security team rushed toward the holding cells, a strange sound filled the ship. It was a low hum that seemed to come from everywhere, at once. Outside the Carvax vessel, the human ship shadow began to change. Panels slid open along its hull, revealing technology that no concordate species had ever seen. The ship's entire structure shifted, unfolding like a flower opening to the sun. What had appeared to be a small merchant vessel was now twice its original size with sleek lines and glowing energy matrices. Inside the Karvax ship, Captain Dae-ho Kim felt the change immediately. The force field that held him in his cell wavered and disappeared. Across the corridor, Tae-woo and Soo-jin were also free. Now, Kim said quietly. The three humans stepped out of their cells. No alarms sounded. No guards came running. The Karvax security systems had completely failed. What's happening? Soo-jin whispered. Earth is happening, Captain Kim replied. He led them quickly through the corridors, moving with purpose. They encountered two confused Karvax guards who seemed unable to use their weapons. This way, Kim said, turning down a side passage. The docking bay should be... He stopped as a section of the wall in front of them began to glow with a soft blue light. The metal simply vanished, leaving a perfect circle. Through the opening, they could see the inside of another ship, clean, bright, and clearly human-designed. Captain Kim, said a voice from the opening. A woman in an Earth uniform stepped through. I'm Lieutenant Minji Koo of the UES Shadow. We're here to bring you home. Kim stared at the opening. How did you... Phase shift technology, Lieutenant Koo explained with a small smile. We've had it for 15 years. Please hurry. The effect won't last long. The three crew members of the Horizon stepped through the opening and into the shadow. Behind them, the circle closed, the metal of the Karvax ship reappearing as if nothing had happened. On the bridge of the shadow, Captain Jin-ho Park stood to greet them. Captain Kim, welcome aboard. I apologize for the wait. What's happening? Out there? Kim asked. Captain Park gestured to the main view screen. See for yourself. The screen showed the Karvax ship floating powerless in space. Beyond it, the stars were filled with moving lights, ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Earth First Response Fleet, Park explained. Admiral Choi sends his regards. But how? Tae-woo began. The Concordat monitors all human ship movements. A fleet this size would have been noticed. They were noticed, Park said, but not recognized. For 30 years, we've been building ships that look like simple cargo haulers, science vessels, even garbage scows. Today, they're revealing what they really are. Across Concordat space, human ships were transforming. Hulls reconfigured to reveal hidden weapon ports and defense matrices. Energy signatures multiplied exponentially as systems that had been dormant for years came online. On the Concordat capital world of Harmonia, the Council had called an emergency session. Panicked reports were coming in from every sector of space where Karvax ships operated. Their entire military communication network had failed simultaneously. Ambassador Yoonji Kang walked calmly into the council chamber. For days, she had been silent. Now every alien eye turned to her as she took her place at the human seat. Ambassadors of the Galactic Concordat, she said, her voice clear and strong. 3 days ago, a Karvax officer murdered a human government official without cause or provocation. The evidence has been transmitted to all of your governments. The Karvax representative Subcommander Drazkor jumped to his feet. This is Karvax internal security. Your spies were... Silence, Ambassador Kang said. Her voice wasn't loud, but something in it made Drazkor stop mid-sentence. For 30 years we have been judged and underestimated. We came to the Concordat in peace, but we also came prepared. She touched a small device on her wrist. The large screen at the front of the chamber lit up, showing hundreds of human ships dropping their disguises all across Concordat space. Humanity requests the immediate surrender of High General Vexcor to face trial for the murder of Officer Ji-soo-yoon, she continued. Until he is delivered to Earth justice, all Karvax military vessels will remain disabled. The Concordat chamber erupted in chaos. The Navaxi ambassador, whose crystalline body reflected the light in rainbow patterns, spoke above the noise. How is this possible? Your technology was assessed when you joined the Concordat. You had nothing like this. Ambassador Kang smiled, slightly. We showed you what we wanted you to see. Reports continued to flood in. Human medical researcher Min-ho Kang, famous across the galaxy for his work on interspecies diseases, revealed he had developed compounds that could temporarily disable every known concordate species. Engineer Junho Bayek, who had helped design defense systems for 6 different concordate worlds, demonstrated how easily he could bypass them. The most shocking revelation came when human quantum physicists explained that they had solved faster-than-light communication decades ago, but had kept it secret, allowing perfect coordination between all human ships. In the Carvax home system, their supreme command was in crisis. They had ordered their main battle fleet to attack the nearest human colony as a show of force. But when the fleet exited hyperspace, they found something waiting for them. The full might of Earth's first response fleet hung in perfect formation around the colony. At its center was the Vengeance, a massive ship commanded by Admiral Choi himself. It had previously been disguised as a simple cargo hauler that had made regular trade runs through Carvax space for years, mapping their defenses. The Carvax ships prepared to attack, their weapons charged, targeting systems locked onto the human vessels. But before they could fire, invisible waves of energy washed over their ships. Targeted electromagnetic pulses shut down weapons without harming life support. Precision strikes disabled engines without causing catastrophic failures. In 17 minutes, the entire Carvax battle fleet was floating helplessly in space. In the holding cell on his own ship, High General Vexcor felt true fear for the first time. The humans he had dismissed as weak had just neutralized the pride of the Carvax fleet without firing a single deadly shot. "Sir," said one of his officers, her voice shaking. "The humans have opened a channel to every ship in our fleet simultaneously. They want to speak to all of us at once." Vexcor nodded numbly. On every screen across the disabled Carvax fleet, the face of Admiral Han Jun Choi appeared. "This is Admiral Choi of the United Earth Government," he said calmly. "We could destroy your vessels and all aboard them. We choose not to. One human life was taken. We will not respond with genocide. We are not barbarians. However, we will have justice." As the message played, the small human ship Shadow approached Vexcor's vessel once more. This time, there was no mistaking it for a harmless merchant craft. This time it came for him. And throughout the galaxy, every species in the Concordat realized the same thing at once. They had never really known the humans at all. The quantum signal reached Earth in 3 minutes and 42 seconds. It arrived at the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, where it was immediately sent to the Crisis Response Center. Defense Minister Sunmi Cho was the first to see the recording of Jisoo Yoon's death. Her face remained calm, but her knuckles turned white as she gripped the edge of the table. "Get me the president," she said quietly. Within an hour, President Do Hyun Ri sat at the head of a long table in the Emergency Council chamber. The room was silent as the recording played on the large screen at the front. When it ended, no one spoke for several seconds. Admiral Han Jun Choi, head of Earth's Space Fleet, was the first to break the silence. "This is an act of war," he said. His voice was low but filled with controlled anger. "We must respond with full force." Foreign Minister Jae-hwa Shin shook her head. "A direct military response would cost thousands of lives, maybe millions. The HFY Concordat would see us as the aggressors. So we do nothing?" Admiral Choi demanded. "Officer Yoon deserves justice." President Ri raised his hand, stopping the argument. "She will have justice, but not the kind the Carvax or the Concordat expect." He turned to his communications director. "What are the Concordat species saying about this?" "Nothing yet, Mr. President," she replied. "The Carvax haven't reported the incident. Our ambassador, Yoonji Kang, received the recording through our private channel, but the official Concordat communication systems show no mention of it." President Ri nodded slowly. "They think they can hide this." He stood up and walked to the window overlooking the rebuilt city of Geneva. After the climate wars of the 2050s, humans had learned to work together or die. That unity had made them strong. "We will do something the Concordat would never expect from us," he said, turning back to face the room. "We will remain silent." Defense Minister Cho looked confused. "Silent, sir?" "Publicly, yes, the president said. No official complaints. No demands for justice, not yet. Ambassador Kang will attend Concordat meetings as normal, but will say nothing about the incident. Admiral Choi frowned. The aliens already think we're weak. This will confirm it. A thin smile appeared on President Ri's face. Let them think that. One last time. He pressed a button on the table. Activate Protocol Sleeping Giant. Red lights flashed briefly around the room. On screens across the wall, confirmation messages began to appear. What exactly is our plan, Mr. President? Foreign Minister Shin asked. For 30 years, we've let the Concordat believe we're less advanced than we really are. President Ri explained. We've hidden our true capabilities, studied their weaknesses, prepared for a day we hoped would never come. He looked at the frozen image of Ji-Soo-yoon on the screen. Now that day is here. All human ships across Concordat space are acknowledging. The protocol, sir, reported the fleet communications officer. They'll begin repositioning within the hour. What about our people on the horizon? Minister Cho asked. Admiral Choi spoke up. I've already ordered the Shadow to their position. Captain Jinho Park will handle the extraction. The Shadow was a ship no one in the Concordat knew existed. It looked like a small merchant vessel, but it contained technology humans had kept secret for decades. How long until the Shadow reaches them? Asked the president. 17 hours, Admiral Choi answered. It's already underway. The president nodded. And our other preparations? Defense Minister Cho touched her tablet, bringing up new information on the main screen. All human-owned businesses in Carvax space are quietly selling their assets. Our defense platforms are running the new software now. The quantum communication network is fully active. And Project Mirror? The president asked quietly. Admiral Choi's expression changed. Ready, sir. We never thought we'd use it, but it's ready. For the next day and a half, Earth's leaders worked without rest. Messages flowed through the quantum network, a communication system the Concordat thought was still theoretical. Orders went out to human ships and colonies across the galaxy. Meanwhile, in the Concordat Council chamber on the neutral world of Harmonia, Ambassador Yoonji Kang sat quietly during the daily meeting. Several alien representatives glanced at her curiously. Humans usually had much to say. The Carvax representative, Sub-Commander Drazkor, seemed nervous. His mandibles clicked rapidly as he spoke about trade routes and security protocols. He made no mention of the Horizon or its crew. When asked for Earth's input on a minor trade dispute, Ambassador Kang simply said, Earth has no comment at this time. Then she fell silent again. Rumors began to spread. Something was wrong with the humans. Perhaps they were planning to leave the Concordat. Maybe they had suffered some disaster they were too proud to admit. No one suspected what was really happening. Across human colonies, civilians went about their business as usual. But in secure facilities deep underground, military personnel activated systems that had been hidden for years. Ships that appeared to be simple cargo haulers began changing course in ways that seemed random, but formed a careful pattern. On the 17th hour, the Shadow arrived near the Carvax patrol ship holding the Horizon and its crew. It looked like an ordinary human merchant vessel, small, boxy, and unremarkable. Captain Jinho Park sat in the command chair. Unlike most human ships seen by the Concordat, the bridge of the Shadow was sleek and advanced, filled with technology no alien had ever seen. We're in position, reported his navigation officer. The Carvax have scanned us but classified us as a routine trade ship. Captain Park nodded. Open a channel to the Carvax vessel. The face of a Carvax officer appeared on screen. Human trade? Ship, state your business in this sector. I carry a message for High General Vexcor, Captain Park said calmly. The officer's compound eyes shifted nervously. The general is busy. Send your message and I will deliver it. The message must be delivered directly, Captain Park insisted. It concerns 3 humans currently held aboard your vessel. The screen went dark as the Carvax cut the transmission. Minutes later, Vexicor himself appeared. Human, he said, his voice filled with contempt. You dare mention our prisoners? Your kind should be fleeing this sector, not approaching it. Captain Park's face showed no emotion. Hi, General Vexcor. I bring a message from Earth. Release the crew of the Horizon. By 0600 Universal Standard Time, this is your only warning. Vexcor's mandibles clicked rapidly. A Carvax laugh. A warning? From Earth? Your entire planet isn't worth my attention. Your people will be tried for espionage, and their ship will become Carvax property. 600 UST, Captain Park repeated. Not 1 minute later. Or what? Vexcor sneered. You'll find out, Captain Park replied. Then he cut the transmission. He's not going to comply, said the Shadow's first officer. No, Captain Park agreed. They never do, the first time. HFY looked at the countdown clock on his display. Inform Admiral Choi that the message has been delivered and rejected. We're moving to Phase 2. The Shadow drifted away from the Carvax vessel, maintaining a distance that appeared respectful but was precisely calculated for what would come. Next. In his holding cell, Captain Dae-Ho Kim felt the ship hum slightly differently. Something had changed. He looked at Tae-woo and Soo-jin in the cells across from his. Tomorrow morning, he said quietly. Be ready. They nodded, understanding without being told that Earth was coming for them. None of them knew exactly what would happen at 0600 UST, but they all knew one thing. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when someone killed a human. 1 year after Officer Ji Soo-yoon's death, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Captain Dae-Ho Kim stood on the observation deck of the Yoon's Legacy, looking out at the gas giant and its pale blue moon. They had finally completed the atmospheric study that had been interrupted so violently a year ago. Captain, called Tae-woo Lee from the doorway. Our visitors have arrived. Kim nodded and straightened his uniform. The Yoon's Legacy now carried not just its human crew, but also 6 students from different concordate species. They were the first group of many who would train alongside humans to learn their methods and thinking. In the ship's main conference room, the visitors waited. Among them was a young Carvax named Trelkin, the same officer who had approached Kim at the memorial service. There was also a crystalline Navaxi, a tentacled Olorian, and representatives from 3 other species. Welcome aboard, Captain Kim said as he entered. Today marks the completion of the mission Officer Yoon gave her life for. The visitors bowed their heads in respect. They all wore small pins showing Earth's emblem alongside their own species' symbols. Captain, Trelkin said, his mandibles moving gently, we have a question that many in the Concordate still ask. Why did humans hide their true capabilities for so long? Captain Kim smiled slightly. Let me show you something. He led them to a small room with a round table. In the center was a 3-dimensional display showing Earth's history. For most of our history, we fought each other, Kim explained. Nation against nation, race against race. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times. The display showed images of Earth's wars, the climate crisis, the resource conflicts. Then we learned something important, Kim continued. Power doesn't have to be used to dominate. It can be held in reserve, used only when necessary. The young aliens watched as the images changed to show Earth's unification, the healing of the planet, the first human ships venturing to nearby stars. When we joined the Concordate, we saw how the stronger species treated the weaker ones, Kim said. We decided to appear less advanced than we were so we could learn without being seen as a threat. But you were preparing for war the whole time, Trelkin said. Kim shook his head. We were preparing for peace by being ready for war. There's a difference. In the Concordate capital on Harmonia, similar conversations were happening at the highest levels of government. The revised Concordate Charter had been signed by all 17 species, with new protections for members regardless of their technological level. Ambassador Yoon-ji Kang stood at the podium in the Great Chamber addressing the full council. 1 year ago, a single human life was taken, she said. The response to that act has created a new understanding between our peoples. The chamber was quiet. Many of the representatives who had once looked down on humans now showed genuine respect. Humanity has begun sharing some of our technologies with trusted Concordate members, she continued. Not weapons, but tools for communication, medicine, and environmental protection. The Meveran elder Jothal spoke next. The humans have taught us a valuable lesson. True strength lies not in displaying power, but in knowing when to use it. Across the galaxy, the effects of what people now called the Yoon incident continued to spread. Human medical researcher Min-Ho Kang worked openly with doctors from 12 species, developing treatments that would save millions of lives. Engineer Junho Baek led teams to improve the defense systems of vulnerable concordant worlds, sharing human knowledge to protect, rather than threaten. Linguist Hyunji Ryu established the first interspecies cultural exchange program, where young people from all concordant races could learn to understand each other better. On the Carvax homeworld, changes were happening that would have seemed impossible a year earlier. High General Vexcor, once the embodiment of Carvax aggression, stood before a class of young military officers. "I killed a human," he told them, his voice heavy with regret. "I thought it would show our strength. Instead, it revealed our weakness." The young officers listened in stunned silence. Such admission of error was unprecedented in Carvax culture. "Humans could have destroyed us," Vexcor continued. "They chose another path. Now I will show you what I have learned from them." In his quarters aboard the Yoon's Legacy, Captain Kim received a message from Admiral Choi. "Earth Defense Command is pleased to inform you that the test results from our atmospheric study have confirmed the viability of the shield technology. All concordant worlds will receive the plans next month as a gesture of goodwill." Kim smiled. The atmospheric anomalies they had been studying were the key to developing a new planetary defense system, one that could protect planets from solar flares and asteroid impacts. Now it would benefit all concordant species. Later that evening, Captain Kim visited the small memorial to Jisoo Yoon near the bridge. Her holographic image smiled at him as he approached. "We completed the mission, Jisoo," he said quietly. "And much more." Soojin Park joined him, placing a fresh flower in the small vase below the memorial. "I often wonder what she would think of all this," Soojin said. "She would approve," Kim replied. "Jisoo always believed in seeing the best in others, even those different from us." As they stood there, Trelkin, the young Carvax officer, approached hesitantly. "Captain Kim," he said, May I pay my respects?" Kim nodded and stepped aside. The Carvax moved forward and performed a human bow of respect before the memorial. "In the old Carvax ways," Trelkin said, "we believed that dying in battle was the greatest honor. Now I see that how we live, not how we die, is what truly matters." Kim placed a hand on the young alien's shoulder. "That understanding is Jisoo's legacy." Later that night, as the Yoon's Legacy prepared to leave orbit, Captain Kim stood on the bridge. Around him, human crew members worked alongside their new concordant trainees. "Course set for Earth, Captain," reported the helmsman. "Proceed," Kim ordered. As the ship moved away from the gas giant, its true form became visible. Sleek, powerful, but no longer hidden or disguised. Just like humanity itself. In the captain's personal log that night, Dae-ho Kim wrote, "1 year ago they killed one human. They expected fear or blind revenge. Instead, they learned about justice, restraint, and the true nature of humanity. One life was lost. Because of that loss, millions of lives across the galaxy will be better. Jisoo would be proud." The log entry ended with a quote from an ancient Earth philosopher that Captain Kim had shared with his alien students that day. "The true measure of a species is not how it treats its equals, but how it treats those it could destroy." Across the galaxy, that lesson was finally being understood. End of story. High General Vexcor stood in the main council chamber on Harmonia. 2 human security officers flanked him, though they carried no visible weapons. They didn't need to. The once proud Carvax military leader looked smaller somehow, his red and black exoskeleton dulled by stress. The chamber was filled with representatives from all 17 concordant species. None spoke. All eyes were fixed on the proceedings. At the center of the room, Ambassador Yoonji Kang stood beside Admiral Hanjun Choi. On the other side, Captain Dae-ho Kim and his rescued crew members, Tae-woo Lee and Soo-jin Park, faced them. Between the two groups lay a simple black box containing the ashes of Security Officer Ji Soo-yoon. "Hi, General Vex Corps," Ambassador Kang said, her voice carrying through the silent chamber. "You stand accused of the murder of Earth Security Officer Ji Soo-yoon. How do you answer?" Vex Corps' mandibles clicked slowly. "I acted to protect myself from attack. The human moved against me." Captain Kim stepped forward. "She moved to free me from being choked. You had no right to board our ship, no right to detain us, no right to take her life. The Carvax have rights to protect our space," Vex Corps hissed. Admiral Choi touched a small device, and the wall behind them lit up with a detailed star map. "This was your patrol route," he said, tracing a line with his finger. "This was our approved research zone." He pointed to a separate area. "You left your assigned space to intercept the horizon. This was a planned act of aggression." Whispers spread through the chamber as the evidence was displayed. The Carvax representative tried to object, but the Navaxi ambassador raised a crystalline hand to silence him. "We have all seen the evidence," the Navaxi said. "What is Earth's demand for justice?" All eyes turned to Admiral Choi. Many expected him to demand Vexicor's execution. The Carvax themselves would have demanded nothing less if the situation were reversed. Admiral Choi looked at the black box holding Jisoo's ashes. "We could have destroyed your fleet," he said to Vexcor. "Thousands of Carvax lives for one human life. That would have been easy." He paused, and the chamber grew even more silent. "Instead, we disabled your ships without killing a single Carvax. We could have used our technology to take your worlds. We did not." He stepped closer to Vexcor. "That is who we are. That is who Officer Yoon was. She died protecting her captain, not attacking an enemy." Vexcor's compound eyes studied the Admiral. "Then what is my punishment to be?" Ambassador Kang answered. "You will live, General Vexcor. You will live to learn." The murmurs in the chamber grew louder. This was not what anyone had expected. "High General Vexcor will be sentenced to study human history and culture," Ambassador Kang continued. "He will personally deliver annual lectures on diplomatic restraint to Carvax military academies for the next 20 years. He will visit the homes of Ji Soo-yoon's family members and explain to them why he took their daughter from them." The chamber erupted in confused conversation. This was not how justice worked in the Concordat. The punishment seemed both too severe and too merciful at once. As the noise subsided, the leader of the Concordat Council, Elder Zothal of the Meveran species, spoke. "This is unusual justice, Ambassador Kang." "It is human justice," she replied simply. Throughout the proceedings, events across the galaxy continued to unfold. Human operatives who had been embedded in Concordat society for years began to reveal themselves, not as spies or saboteurs, but as individuals who had gained deep knowledge of each species. Medical researcher Minho Kang appeared on broadcasts across Concordat worlds. "For 12 years I have developed medicines to help all species," he said. "I could have created weapons instead. I chose healing." Engineer Junho Beck, who had designed defense systems for 6 different worlds, demonstrated how he had built in safeguards, not weaknesses. "I could have left back doors to cripple your defenses," he explained. "Instead, I added protections you didn't know you needed." The Concordat Council remained in session for 3 straight days. New protocols were created for military interactions between species. The humans helped draft the regulations, offering insights that surprised even the oldest Concordat members. On the final day, Ambassador Kang addressed the council once more. "We came to you appearing weak because we wished to learn, not to threaten. We concealed our true capabilities because history taught us that power often invites challenge rather than respect. The death of Officer Yoon forced our hand, but our response should tell you everything about who we truly are." Captain Dae-ho Kim and his crew were given a new ship, larger and more advanced than the Horizon. They prepared to return to their original mission, studying the atmospheric anomalies on the gas giant's moon. Before they left, A delegation of 12 different species requested permission to send observer students to Earth's diplomatic academy. They wanted to understand the paradox of a species that could have destroyed its enemies but chose restraint instead. On the bridge of their new ship, renamed the Yoon's Legacy, Captain Kim looked at the stars through the view screen. "Do you think they understand us now?" Tae-woo asked, standing beside him. "They're beginning to," Captain Kim replied. "Understanding takes time." Soo-jin joined them, looking at a small memorial plaque bearing Jisoo's name that had been placed near the captain's chair. "I still miss her," she said quietly. "We all do," Captain Kim said. "The best way to honor her is to continue our work." Across the galaxy, the ships of Earth's fleet returned to their previous duties, but now without disguise. Human vessels moved openly, their true capabilities no longer hidden. Trade resumed. Research continued. But something fundamental had changed in how humans were perceived. The Karvax, humbled by the experience, began reforms within their military. High General Vexcor, once a proud warrior who saw other species as inferior, spent his days learning human history. He studied Earth's long, violent past and how humans had nearly destroyed themselves before learning the value of cooperation. On the anniversary of Jisoo Yoon's death, a memorial was unveiled on Harmonia. Representatives from all concordate species attended. Vexcor himself laid the first offering, a traditional human bouquet of white flowers. "I did not understand then," he said, his voice humbled. "I am beginning to understand now." Admiral Choi, who attended the ceremony, did not speak to Vexcor. Some wounds would take longer to heal, but he nodded slightly as the Karvax general passed, a small acknowledgement of the changed relationship between their species. As the memorial service ended, a young Karvax officer approached Captain Kim. "Captain," he said hesitantly, "I wish to apply to train alongside humans, to learn your ways of restraint." Captain Kim looked at the young officer, the first Karvax to make such a request. "Officer Yoon would have approved," he said after a moment. "She believed in building bridges, not walls." The young Karvax bowed in the human way. "One life ended," he said. "Perhaps many new understandings can begin." Captain Kim nodded. The death of one human had indeed shocked the galaxy, not with the force of humanity's revenge, but with the power of their justice.